We are delighted that you're joining us for another podcast of Wake Up Align, and it is the podcast for chiropractors where we get to talk about chiropractic lifestyle, and topics of interest. You can contact us through our email, and that is mailbag@amcfamily.com. Hey everybody, I'm so glad that you have found us again. This is Dr. Shannon McMurtry, your host for Wake Up Align. And I am here with my good friend, Tom Owen, and we are here together to inspire, motivate, and empower you, the chiropractor, to reach your potential and serve your patients. Tom, how are you doing today?
I am, what did they say? If I was doing any better, I'd have to be twins.
Doing any better, have to be twins. All right, very good.
And I'm excited. It's a new week, folks. What are we going to do? What are we going to accomplish? What is your life? And I heard that message just recently at my church. What is your life? Your life is not an accumulation of yesterdays. Your life is absolutely not your tomorrows because you can't touch it. You can't do anything about it. But what we got is today. So hopefully we've got a good message for you today that will empower and inspire you so your tomorrows will be brighter.
Absolutely.
You know, absolutely. Yeah. What is it they say? Today is the tomorrow that yesterday dreamed of.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Nice. I know that's not yours because it was good. You stole that from somebody?
No, actually, nice. Yeah, I saw it on the back of a cereal box.
I was about to give you a compliment. Say, man, you're getting really good in your old age. Speaking of those good tomorrows, Tom, we have some folks that are having and experiencing some good tomorrows. I would say not even good, but amazing tomorrows. I want to share with you a few that really caught my eye lately. Dr. Jay Scranton. You know Dr. Jay? I did. Man, that guy is, I don't know, we love him, we support him, and he's lovable and supportable, right? He's just one of those great dudes. But I don't know if you knew this or not, but he just recently had amazing back-to-back months, and the pace, we're not finished with the year, but the pace that he's on so far should put him in that 110,000 increase in the bottom line collections over where his practice was just last year. And I know we're not going to share all the details, but he has gone through some really significant struggles. And I don't know how you feel about it, but when I see someone doing well, I almost like, was everything going your way? Because if you just happen to fall into a great market or somebody took you under their wing and they're doing all this great stuff for you or whatever, and you're doing well, more power to you. Congratulations. But when you can do it, when you're fighting the tide and the stream and you know what it's like.
You're in the storm.
When you're in the storm. You can do that when you're in the storm. Man, what can you do when that storm is cleared up? And that storm will clear up eventually.
Yep.
Yeah. I wanted to share him. I'm super, super proud of him.
He's a good guy.
Sure is. Dr. Stuckey. Now, everybody, the listeners, Dr. Stuckey is Tom's OG friend from back in the day. I think you were influential for him.
Oh, yeah.
Going to chiropractic school, right?
Yeah.
Way back
absolutely.
then. So,
yeah, Stuckey's old. He and I met in, let me think about that, September of 1992 in the middle of on the basketball court. Walked up to him and I said, what's your name? He goes, Orville. I said, nobody 6'4", 240 needs to be named Orville. I said, what's your last name? And he's been Stuckey ever since. But yeah, he and I became best friends with brothers. I mean, he's really my brother. But he was very successful for mid-20s, 26-year-old guy. He was set. He had a pretty sweet job with UPS. And he and I were on a golf trip one year. And he goes, if I had to do it over again, I know what I'd be. And I'm like, okay, because he's like the complete opposite of me, right? Mr. Procrastination. I'm like, yeah, what would that be? He said, I'd be a chiropractor. He goes, with what I've seen with you and your dad, I'd be a chiropractor. I said, Stuckey, dude, you're 28 years old. I said, you already have a degree. Mm-hmm. I said, you do that and the rest is history. Well, you know what? He just celebrated 20 years in practice, which makes me feel very, very old. But you've got the report.
those 20 years have not been shabby. I mean, we're talking about some good years, but he is on pace this year for his record year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's what procrastination does. It takes you 20 years. I love him to death.
But
and I'm just so proud of him.
And there's another one with health challenges and other things nipping at his heels and distractions, and could have every reason in the world to say, you know what, I don't have it in me anymore and the energy, and I'm fighting for my health and whatever. But nope, I'm just going to just turn in my best year ever.
Right? That's him.
Speaking of Ryan, producer man, since they have that friendship that goes back all those days, let's schedule Dr. Stuckey to be on a podcast, because I think we should explore the seedy underbelly of the life of Tom Owen back in the day. So, yeah, he has to
that
show
whole
up.
show will be full of bleep, 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 bleep.
Oh my goodness! All right, let's move on. Dr. Marine Work over in North Carolina, right? Great chiropractor, philosophically sound, right? Just the kind of person that, what do you need? What can I do? That's who she is. Well, it's great to see those people do well too. But she recently switched over her structure in her office. So she goes from an insurance-based type of practice, switching over to private pay. Now, listeners, if you're hearing this and you're new with Aligned or you're not with Aligned, please do not do that just willy-nilly, right? There is a process and a methodology you go through. But Dr. Work had her record year last year, switched over, and that's a big decision. There's a lot of fear that you have to fight and such. Switched over the practice to now to a private pay situation, and is on pace to top her best year by another best year consecutively. And here's the great news, 97% collection ratio. So
that would be Cindy.
Yes, her CA, her super
Cindy.
Phenomenal CA.
Something about Dr. Work is because she does not like the limelight. No. She doesn't even think of herself at this level, but she's one of the top chiropractors when it comes to instrument Atlas orthogonal adjusting. She sat on the board for the longest time. I don't know if she currently is, but for the longest time, she sat on the board of the Atlas orthogonal with Roy Sweat. So, I mean, she is top notch. And just to hear her just killing it after all these years, just taking it to another level. I love it. It's one thing to have a chiropractor do well. It's another thing to have the top-notch chiropractors taking a leap, right?
Yeah. And if you didn't share that, nobody would ever know it, because she never brags on herself. She's
absolutely.
Never going to do that. All right, this one's got to be very special to you. I know that you have gone above and beyond. I know you love to do it, but you've gone above and beyond for this person, but somebody very close to our hearts, Dr. Darlene. Dr. Darlene.
You mean Dr. Darlene Euler?
You got it right. You got it. Yep. So she's had a pretty good run of it lately, right? Growth, development. Yeah, things are going well. She's not done yet, right? She's got potential, but she is right now projected to have her best year ever, and looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $80,000 to $90,000 increase. And I knew that would be special to you because of all the one-on-ones you've had with her. So really, really happy for her. Proud of her too.
Absolutely. She is the epitome of the law of you can't outgrow your concepts. And for some reason, conceptually, she had her challenges, her identity issues that we talked about, but the value of who she is and what a chiropractor is. She'd been in practice in at least 25 years. I think it's more than that. And it takes a lot, folks. It's one thing to be a student coming out of school, graduate. You're like a sponge at that point, right? So you haven't made all those mistakes. And even I wouldn't even necessarily say mistakes. When you've been in practice 25 years, and then you have the concept issues or the value issues or the identity issues, it's hard to change old habits. So when we're complimenting the likes of Dr. Work and Dr. Euler, understand it takes a lot to turn the big ship that's been moving in one direction for a long time, and that ship's been around. It's sailed around the world a few times. You know what I'm saying? That's a big accomplishment, and I cannot be more proud of Dr. Euler. She's just a sweetheart.
Even harder when that ship gets stuck in the canal like that one did a while back. Remember that? Like, that wasn't just hard to turn. They had to get it unstuck before they could get it moving again. So, all right, you mentioned value and value in yourself, and I am, as you know, very, very passionate about value inside of the chiropractic office. You can't have chiropractic value until you have internal value. It just doesn't work. But here's a quick one on a person who has the internal value. Now they're seeing the external value. Dr. Mark Jeter. Dr. Mark Jeter. Again, another one. I don't know why they all seem to have this kind of profile, but really been through the ringer lately, through no fault of his own, through, no way he could control the weather, but hurricane came through and really did a number on
absolutely,
on those folks down there. But he is working with what he has available inside of the office, and his CVA, that's collection visit average for those of you listening, is now at an all-time high, not just recently, but for his career, now at $71.65. All right, that's the per average. And is that good? Is that bad? Well, you don't know until we compare that to where it was, which was at 50 for years, right? And now we're 71.65. So happy for him. He's got a goal to be in that $100,000 over where he was the previous year. No doubt he's going to hit that. Also, did you hear about his goal on his Rolex?
Absolutely.
That cool? Did he show you the Rolex?
No, I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, I got to see it. I think it was last night, man. That's a sharp looking watch.
Yeah, awesome.
Nice deal. Yeah.
If he can find me, get a little in on one more, if he has that source, we might have to get in on one of those.
I know a guy that can shake his hand and lift it from him if you want me to. I mean,
well, why don't we just work together?
Okay.
Right? There we go.
Dr. Mark, if you're listening, man, I hope you know that we're kidding around about that watch, but we're proud of you on your goal. We're proud of you on what you're doing, and the best is yet to come for you, sir. So congratulations. Listen, there's 4 pages of stuff, single space typed.
Every week, these things are rolling in, man.
Yep.
Just the Aligned family and what's happening. For those of you that were in Atlanta in September, you realize we're just getting started, man. The wildfire is about to go berserk, losing complete control. This Aligned family is on fire.
Mm-hmm.
You're on fire and in your practices, and we're going to be on fire taking it to the world.
Well, speaking of that, and all of these stories have something in common. They didn't happen by accident, right? They happened because of a decision made, a habit created, a purpose engaged, whatever. But we were talking about this subject called launching your new year or New Year launch. These people, especially the ones that had things happening to them and unfortunate circumstances, if they don't have that, I'm going to launch into this new year, or let me share it the other way. I'm just going to see what comes and make the boat. There's no way they do what's on this page here.
Absolutely not.
So we both thought it was a great idea to talk about New Year launch, because we're at that time of the year where it's appropriate to do so and get ready for that next year coming. I know we all think, well, we got a lot of time before the end of this year. We got weeks and months, but you don't, because between especially Thanksgiving to New Year's, it's a blur. And even if you're on point, you're on message, the people around you, it's like they go on coast mode, right? So I'm driven, I'm ambitious, I got my things to do, and I'm trying to get help, and we'll just get to that in January. Let's just put that off until January. We can have all these trips planned. You don't have time to wait around, and the new year is coming. You're going to wake up, rub your eyes, and January the 1st will be here, and the next year is already off and running. So can we take them through how to launch the new year the right way and the prep work that comes? Can we do that?
Sure.
All right.
First and foremost, you hit on something, leaders plan,
Mhm.
right? And success doesn't come by accident. And here's what's interesting about success. So you can plan all you want for success. If you don't plan for success, it's a plan for failure. All right. But you can even plan for success and life is still coming. Just ask some of the people that you just rattled off on those honorable mentions. So when you described that a minute ago, where, well, I'll just, New Year's is months away and we'll just deal with that during the holidays. And look, I deserve to take a break and take some deep breaths during the holidays and things of that nature. That's fine. But do you know, everybody listening, your text, one text could come through your phone during this show that changes everything, right? You don't know what tomorrow brings. So when you act like that and just say, well, I'll deal with it when it comes around, you're asking for, at the very least, mediocrity. All right. But you're not, but by not making preparations, you're more likely to fail. Right. So, I can talk about this in a lot of different directions. And I know you want to get to just how do you launch. You have to remember, folks, that there's been enough studies, and you and I know a good old mentor of ours, Joe Charbonneau, taught, and he was it was spot on. He said 87% of the population can't even understand the level of management and leadership, much less the 3% that understands vision. All right. So that means 87% of the people walking around you have no idea how to constructively build for that future that we're talking about. So listen up, folks. These last months leading up to the new year is going to set the pace. And you used that a great example. For one thing, you want to be working on your marketing calendar for next year right now, right? It should be working. It's a 12-month marketing calendar. I don't wait till January 1st to make the marketing calendar for the whole year. If I made the 2024 marketing calendar January 1st for the whole 12 months, that means my marketing for January isn't being planned or worked on until January 1st. It's already January and you're going to work on your annual marketing plan. That's foolish, right? Marketing typically takes a minimum of 6 weeks build up, depending on what piece of marketing you're doing. So that's just one thing right now. We should constantly be working on our marketing calendar, building up the anticipation, setting your goals. We probably need to talk just goal setting. Some people don't even like to set goals.
Mm-hmm.
You know why they don't like to set goals? Because they typically don't reach them, right? So it's a dejection. They don't feel good. So why should I even bother? I just feel like a failure. Well, maybe that's just because you're not planning to succeed in the first place, right? You're not following a constructive plan, and more than likely you're not going to reach it. And also, if you don't even know how to set real goals are not goals unless there's deadlines and step-by-step processes that give us an opportunity to reach those goals. So the end of the year, what I usually call phenomenal fall, those fall months, we're really spending time in our quiet time. We're really evaluating our analytics. And I know you're a stat guy. When I throw the mic to you, you're going to probably want to talk about some of the numbers. We're going to evaluate what did we want to accomplish this year? What did we accomplish this year? And what needs to be adjusted now? If you don't go into the new year without internal staff development, team building, right? Taking an analysis or an assessment of where were we? What have we accomplished? What worked? What didn't work? How can we get better? How can we support the various team members on the team? When are you doing that? You're going to wait until after the holidays when you took your deep breath and took a break and just you're going to go right into the new year and just shoot from the hip. And all of a sudden, I think I'll do some team building now that it's New Year's. Again, that's mediocrity. My father always taught a rule, a law. Now, whether or not it was his law or not, I don't know, right? Laws are laws, and typically they're timeless. But my dad would always teach, son, you set high expectations, because only high expectations will ever produce high results. Here's what's interesting, though. At best, most people try to go through life. They're the ones waiting for the ship to come in, right? They're good people. They're salt of the earth. They make up about 60% of the population, but they're the ones that typically produce more of a medium expectation, right? And here's what's interesting. Medium expectations don't get medium results. Isn't that strange? High expectations will get high results. Better than average, better than what you're expecting. Medium expectations, going along through the motions, they only produce low results. Low expectations of, well, I don't even know why I'm bothered doing this. This has never worked for me before. I don't know why it would work now. That's not a medium expectation. That's a low expectation, right? Low expectations get you no results. Well, what's an expectation, Shannon? An expectation is something to come, right? Setting of what am I visualizing? What am I expecting? What are my goals? What am I reaching for? And you think high expectations are going to happen without a constructive plan? I am working on 2024. Well, actually, inside of AMC, as you know, you and I are working on 2024 18 months out, right? When did we have our director meeting? When did we have our management meeting for 2024?
That was 4 months before 2024. That was first week of September.
Right. Either we typically are going to do it in the middle of August, no later than the first week of September. Right? We have to plan what we're going to execute. We're planning what we're going to produce in 2024. We don't wait till January to do it. So whether it's team building, and I know you can talk about that, it's certainly analytics, statistical reviews, looking at those stats, what needs to be shifted. Certainly marketing, we're setting that course now. Goal setting. How about, I think I said somewhere along during this section of sharpening your tools. Man, this is the time of year. Listen to me. Audience, listen. Now is the time. As an aligned member, go to as many, not just one, go to as many different certified training centers or on fire training centers during this period of time. It will set your forest ablaze, right? By the time you get to January, you're chomping at the bit. You can't wait to attack it. And then last but not least, definitely set your summit commitments right now. Say it. Say it with me, folks. You're driving down the road right now. Listen to this podcast. Say it out loud. I will not miss a summit in 2024. Say it. Make a commitment. Stop being involved with it. But those first 2 to 3 summits in the year, you plan for those now. You go through these motions that we're talking about. And man, when you hit those summits, baby, that's when we're talking about you next year at this time, when you're on pace for another year of 100,000 or 200,000. So when I think about launching into the new year, it's pre-planning.
There's an element of this that I always harp on my clients about. And this sounds weird because I'm the business consultant. I'm the business mentor. We're there to talk about business, do business, conduct business. But when I look at their calendar and what they have ahead of themselves, if they don't have their R&R planned in that calendar, I reject it. Because what do you and I see? Like work. Oh, I'm getting burned out. By the time you hit burnout, you should have taken some R&R 6 weeks prior, right? It is way too late. And you know how it is when we're busy. So we work. We're getting this burnout thing. Well, I'll get it something scheduled, but I got patients booked, and that can't happen now for another 6 weeks. Hey, that 6 weeks that should have happened, and now we're 6 weeks later, and it's going to be another 6 weeks. We're 12. We are 1/4 of the year before we can get the R&R that we desperately needed 3 months ago. That is not a way to do this.
And if you're running a schedule the way you should, right? If you want to be successful, you do what the successful do. And what you're saying is if you fail to do that, what is that called? That's called planning, right? You're setting the course, you're setting your schedule, and you're absolutely correct. You are setting yourself up for burnout because, and I want to say this real quick, be aware that when I say you take that time for renewing, refreshing, recreation, what is the spelling of that word? People have gotten away from thinking that they think recreation is my escape. Look, if you're not having fun and you're not enjoying practice and you're not with a team and you're not working efficiently, proficiently, productively, profitable, if you're not getting the referrals, if this is a strain and a stress and you are looking to that every 6 to 8 weeks to take the retreat, and you're looking at it as escape, listen to me, listeners. That ain't the way to live. You are on your way to burnout when you're trying to look. That's what the world does. The world tries to teach you to work 50 weeks a year only to escape 2 weeks, right? That's the hamster wheel. Blessed are those who will go in circles, for they shall be called wheels. And that's not going anywhere. So the word recreation is actually spelled recreation. So when Dr. Shannon is talking about that, of planning that rest, it's to step back. It's the times to step back 3 to 4 days, every 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And during those 3 or 4 days, yeah, you can have fun. Yeah, have a ball. Step back and look at where we are, where we've been, and where we're going while you're doing the renewal, having fun. It's okay. You're supposed to enjoy life more abundantly. But I just wanted to point that out. It's not 3 to 4 days every 6 to 8 weeks to escape your mess. If you have a mess, then you want to escape it. If it's your retreat and you love to practice and you're loving life every day, now all of a sudden I just get to step back and recreate, spend some recreation time of what have I done? What did we just do in this season? Where are we going? So we're still talking about planning, where we're talking about planning to launch the new year. That's what you're doing. You're really recreating, going through a recreation process, not every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I've already started my 2024. We actually started that 2 months ago, talking about this R&R time. And the craziest thing is, people will fight on that. Like, hey, I'm rejecting your calendar because you don't have your R&R time. Oh, no. See, I'm going to go to CEU then. And then we got to take my daughter to college and drop her off then. I'm like, okay, are you doing recreating, or is it real R&R? Are your batteries being recharged? Are you getting visions? Well, no. Well, that doesn't count. Well, I don't have time for all that. Wait, see, now we're back to that world mentality.
Mediocrity.
Right. So if your calendar, if your launch and your new year, if you're like goals, okay, I'm good. Marketing calendar, oh yeah, that makes sense to me. And I'm going to schedule my summits. But this is the hard one for you, because it is for a lot of producers, workhorses. Schedule those R&R weekends. Schedule them.
And last but not least, I'd like to unpack for you, especially because this is your forte, but staff development, right? If your team's not growing with you, right? I'd much rather have a strong team and an average doctor than a strong doctor and an average team, right? So how much are you investing into your team? How much is your team feeling rewarded? How much is your team feeling inspired, empowered? How much do they feel like it's a career, or do they feel like it's a job where they get to punch the clock? These are all components to growing in the new year. That team has to grow along with you.
Yeah, so I'll address that. Listen, I don't one staff member, 10 staff members, I don't care. Part of your year in advance is minimum once per quarter. We are going to have what we're calling an admin day or an in-service weekend. It's not your staff training. It's not your morning meeting inspiration stuff. This is where we're not scheduling patients for the morning or the afternoon or maybe the day, depending on the issue. And we are going to invest in each other. We're going to invest in our team. We're going to finally upgrade the software. We're going to bring in the digital stuff that we're going to need the training day on. See, that's how we do this. If you just say, well, let's get the software in and then we'll work through it, that is a really bad way to go about it because you only have so many hours in a day. And the hours and the distraction you're devoting to that is going to cost you what you're there to do, which is serve patients and get them better. So schedule it off. Oh my gosh, are you saying that I can't see patients that morning or that day? Yes, absolutely. Well, what am I going to do if I can't see? Doctor, if you will kindly schedule those patients before that admin day or after that admin day, it won't cost you a penny. You won't lose any patients. And in fact, you'll probably, on those busier days, notice an uptick in referrals and new patients. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you're going to be more effective.
Exactly. So that's not the end all be all. I mean, we can go into a lot of great detail that we don't have time for today on that. But part of that calendar is admin days, in-service days.
Can I give you a shout out?
Sure.
I hate doing this.
I know.
Right. But can I just tell you the work that you are doing inside the Align family with the CA coaching?
Mm-hmm.
I was at dinner last night with 4 doctors, and it was not on the subject matter to come up, but it came up about growth. It was talking about next level, and they all said, all 4 of them said, "Oh my gosh, the ability," I'm talking about planning, the ability, the freedom that having CA coaching and taking that burden off of me allows for me to work on what we're discussing here today, to work on my marketing plan, to work on sharpening my own skills, and because that component makes you so much more efficient and effective. So that's what triggered it when I said effective, because when you're more efficient and you're more effective or proficient, you're going to be more productive. You're ultimately going to be more profitable. And this is an amazing stat. I heard you from the podium at the September Atlanta, where it said the average CA coached office, right?
There's fluctuation with staffing and that kind of stuff. What we have found is when we look at the numbers of the large group that grows $100,000 year to year, 2/3 of those offices are CA coached, right? So the biggest group that has that 6-digit increase in one calendar year over the previous, they're being CA coached. And of course, that's not by accident, right? You're talking about that plan and the calendar. That should be on people's plan. In fact, as we approach the end of this year, we have more people asking about CA coaching because they're doing it and actually signing up for it because they're doing exactly what we're talking about. Like, I'm not doing another year like this. Next year is going to be better. What steps am I willing to take? What investment am I willing to make to move the needle on next year? Whether that is stress reduction or bottom line production or whatever it may be, right? But yeah, the stats are in, and they've been consistently like that year over year over year.
I'm just personally just blown away with anybody that doesn't do CA coaching. I can assure you, any of the clinics that I participate with personally,
Mm-hmm.
whether I have, an ownership or, a stake in, whatever the case may be. There'll never be an office that I'm involved with that doesn't have CA coaching, because it frees up the time to be more effective and proficient. And that's one thing you don't get back, folks. See, some of us have physical limitations. Folks like you, Shannon, have mental limitations.
That's true.
But
Yes.
all of us have the limit of time. And there's only so much time in a day, and there's only so much that you can constructively get done efficiently. So by doing that, I just blown away with, I think as far as I'm speaking to the Align family, I mean, you better have a really, really solid reason not to engage with the CA coaching program. Because if you dare walk up to me, and I know you're not going to, because you're not going to dare to do this, but if your reason is cost, that is literally like taking a penny out of your pocket, holding it right up to your eyelid or your eyeball, because you're holding that penny so close to your eye, you can't see the sun. You can't see the sky. You can't see the horizon. What's coming? I mean, it's just, it's ignorant. I'm sorry to use that word, but it's truly ignorant to realize you're talking your cost that you guys have whittled that thing down to. Isn't it? Tell me if I'm wrong. Please tell me if I'm misquoting. Isn't it the cost of like 2 missed appointments a week, or is it a month, or what is it?
It's 2 per week. If we can salvage 2 per week, either not have them or reset them properly, the program is cost neutral.
And that has nothing to do with the cluster booking.
No.
That has nothing to do with the collection issues. That has nothing to do with the financials. That has nothing to do with the team building. When you have 2, 3, 4 CAs and you're trying to work out all the issues that are going on where they don't take it to the doctor, or the doctor won't communicate it to the staff, that CA is your, kind of like a liaison. It's your mediator to create synergy in the office. All comes down to that. Just amazing stuff. I didn't mean to get onto CA coaching.
Well,
I'm just saying that if I was going into the new year,
I get it,
and I'm planning for it, and I don't have CA coaching as a part of my program, I would literally be talking to my mentor this week, or I'd be contacting Jennifer at the home office and say, how do I get a hold of Dr. McMurtry?
Well, it's not the subject that we came together to discuss on the podcast, but of course it's close to my heart. I appreciate the public shout out on here. I can't receive it because it's not me. We've just assembled.
Well, we know that.
Yeah, thank you. We've just assembled the very best people.
Absolutely.
We have the best people in the business doing that work, and they're motivated by the right reasons, and you're never going to outwork them, right? So
yeah, they are troopers.
I get the pats on the back, but they're the ones that are doing the work and really making it happen. So shout out to that team.
You want to give shout outs to my name?
I'm happy to shout those
them
people
out.
We have Christy, we have Charisse, we have Miss Barbara, and we have Jan. And that's currently our CA coach.
Yeah,
we are thinking about it.
I know somebody that's coming.
Well, we got some expansion to do. Yeah. The other thing on that is we were talking about the bare minimum, 2 missed appointments, salvage, whatever. There's another stat. I don't know if I really should share. So if this has to be edited out, then so be it. But we have in our program Right Starters. These are doctors who are out of college or coming off an associate, and they're going to open up their own clinic. Well, we made it a policy a few years ago that all of those would get CA coaching paid for a finite amount of time. And if they want to stick with CA coaching, then they will get, that'll be their responsibility after that offer ends. Did you know that for our Right Starters, do you know what the average adjustment, not total revenue divided by patient visits, but just the adjustment charge is? Would you like me to tell you?
I would love to hear this.
Right Starters are opening up, averaging $75 an adjustment. Now, There's a lot of things that go into that. You can't just take that as the gold standard. Markets are different. People are different. We have to play by the rules. But our right starters under CA coaching are starting off with better value concepts than our established people.
And guess what? They're booming.
Yes, they are.
Right?
Yes,
So
they
I
are.
want to ask the audience, those of you that are in practice for 10 years, 20 years, do you really think that new graduate is as good of a chiropractor as you are? Now, listen, I know there's graduates listening and going, heck yeah, I'm as good as they are. How does that sit with the veterans out there? And are you at the 75 average, right? Just on the adjustment value, they're coming out with those concepts, and it's coming from the establishment of that CA coaching.
You know, it's even a better question than that. Who does the public, the healthcare consuming public, consider the better doctor? The one charging 50 or the one charging 75? The public thinks that the doctor charging 75 is the better, more accomplished doctor. So it's not even about what you think when you look in the mirror. It's like, what does the public think? Because that's their perception. All right, we've got to get back to this and finish it up strong. I want to talk about foundations. Right? You and I had just had a conversation about a couple of coaches, and then I think a golfer. I'm not a big golfer, so you have to share that with me. But you were mentioning Vince Lombardi, and he started or finished every year. He had a ritual where he went through his methodology, and he did it every year. John Wooten, somebody that I had just referenced on a continuing ed event that I did a few months ago. But did you know how John Wooten started every fall practice when he brought in his new recruits and everybody got seniors and freshmen, everybody on the team, gathered them together. Guess what he started with? Gentlemen, this is how you tie your shoes. This is how you put on your socks. This is how you, and the freshmen are like giggling and smirking, thinking it's a joke. And they're looking around, and the seniors and the upperclassmen are like dialed in. They're like, what the heck is this? He started his every year with, this is how you put on your socks, tie your shoes. The two stories that you had shared, similar, right? Share those if you don't mind.
Vince Lombardi walked into every, I think everybody knows who Vince Lombardi is. And he walked into every training camp, and the first thing he does is hand it up and say, gentlemen, this is a football.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Nicklaus, golfer, he would every year break down his swing, and he would start, and he would spend as many as 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks working on his grip. Now, folks, there's a lot to the golf swing, but until he got the grip right, there was no reason to move on to the next component. And obviously, his record, the records of who we're talking about,
speak for themselves.
Yeah. You never, ever lose. Going back, it makes no sense whatsoever to put a second and a third and a fourth floor on a building if the foundations and the footers are not certain, all right? And the only way to do that is you don't start just piling on more stuff, new shiny object, new piece of marketing. The best thing that you can do every year, and we're talking about the launching of a new year, is go back to your fundamentals. Build from the ground up, and literally the ground. Sometimes you have to tear those footers out. You have to do a hard reset in some cases. You got to rip the concrete out and lay the foundation completely and level it out, lay the footers right, and start building it up from there. And so, yeah, that's exactly where I would go. And I think that's where you're headed probably with the AMC members. AMC members, I wouldn't give a rat's tail what's going on in the advanced classes come January, February, and March. I'd be right back into your fundamentals, and I'd rededicate myself to it, because that is going to set you up to propel you to grow at a much faster rate rather than just adding on to your junk or your problems.
And I'd go one step further. I would find me a rehearsal partner via Zoom, and I would dedicate once a week, 2 hours a week, 1 hour a week. Let's get some dedication here, and let's work with each other. Not this is how we do it, or this is what I think. Zoom, play the training material, copy the training material, right? Do the training material. That I would take it a step further. Not don't just wait. Be Jack Nicholson working on the grip to prepare.
Jack Nicholas.
Thank you, Jack.
No problem.
Who did I say?
Nicholson.
All right.
Don't be Jack Nicholson.
Okay.
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Be the golfer who is working on the grip before they go to the club or the whatever, right? Work on your stuff before you come to the summits. Refine it there. Don't learn it there. Right? That's the way to do it.
I got one more. Go to your coach. Go to your mentor. And when are you doing that? Which is what we started this whole podcast and show on, is how do you launch into a new year? What did we say to do? What were you doing in November, December? Go to as many certified training centers and on-fire training centers. So you're seeing it. Then you go into that new year. And yes, accountability partners, absolutely. And then go into your fundamentals. And you do that year over year, brother, sky's the limit.
Here are the stats. Here are the stats of the people who wait around until end of December, 31st, January 1st. You heard this thing called New Year's resolutions? You heard? They're not worth a thing, right? But those of you who think, all right, well, I'll just do it this year. I'll set my pace come January the 1st. I'm going to set my resolution, whatever. Tom, from January the 1st to February the 14th, Valentine's Day, 6 weeks. Of all the people who set their New Year's resolution, would you like to take a guess on what's the percentage that are already done permanently by February the 14th?
That just set a New Year's resolution on January 1st, like New Year's Eve?
Yeah, New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, they just, first time they ever thought about it?
Stop swearing, stop smoking, whatever. Yeah. Lose weight.
I would guess at least 80%.
80, that's exactly right. 80% are done permanently for the year. Now, from February the 14th to December the 31st, what's the percentage drop?
Of the ones that survived the first drop?
Of everybody that started, we had 80% drop. What's the percent that drops from that point on? Not who's remaining, but
from the original
total
number.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you.
Okay.
80% drop in 6 weeks, and it takes about 46 weeks for the other 14% to drop, and about 6% in their year still working on pursuing, engaged with their resolution. So if you wait around until December 31st, January 1st to set your New Year launch and set your calendar and do all that, folks, the odds are against you. But
it's that world of mediocrity that we're talking about.
But even if you do it more diligently, more with better planning and pre-thought, the challenges are still coming your way, right? There's no guarantee that you're not going to have some moments that really set you back. But if you can stick with it and just stick with it for 6 weeks, you're doing better than 80% of the people who said it the other way. And every single week that you stay with it, you get further ahead of the group by another percentage point or two. So I just wanted to share those, right? I believe everybody can do it, should do it, will do it. But if you go about it the old way, you go get the old results. Tom, thank you for sharing. Appreciate that very much. Anything else you want to share today?
I think that was more than enough to mull over in the coming weeks as you prepare the launch of your new year. Because ultimately it's going to be your new year that we're talking about. Not my new year.
Yeah, ours is set, isn't it?
Ours is set, and we're constantly working on it. Mm-hmm. We don't wait until today to work on today. We're always planning ahead and constructively working on that. And I'll wrap it up with just saying, you know what makes the whole process easier? Having an accountability partner.
You got it.
Having a mentor. I will never operate without a mentor. People keep constantly plugging in. They plug in and they unplug. They plug in and they unplug. And then they go over here. It's like an umbilical cord. They're just walking around trying to, where am I going to plug in next to my source? once you find a source that you can trust, that's a big one. Finding a source that you can trust, that's authentic, that has all the resources, you don't ever unplug from that mentor. So biggest key is, if you're not an AMC member, amcfamily.com.
Be an AMC member.
Correct. And have an accountability partner that's been there, done that, seen it all, not, here and there, was here yesterday, here today, gone tomorrow.
Listeners, thank you so much for joining us. Tom, I appreciate all of the insight. Awesome content today. Look forward to you joining us next time on another episode of Wake Up Aligned. Until then, God bless. Follow our show. You can share it with friends, of course, and we'd love for you to contact us at mailbag@amcfamily.com. In addition, you're always invited to attend or join us at a summit. Of course, registration is required. And we would love for you to check out the loads of free content we provide to social media every single week. Until next time.